It's okay. Huh? I'm tall. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello all together. Talolafa, Maori, Ekwake, Kasilai, Malolilai, and Bulavinaka to everyone. I'm delighted to extend a warm welcome on behalf of Sasakawa Peace Foundation to all of you for the third Pacific Island Young Professional Forum, which envisions the future of the Pacific Island countries. My name is Malini Nair, and I'll be your MC for this forum. I would like to invite the Director, Division of Island Nations for Sasakawa Peace Foundation, Mr. Hideyoki Shioza, to share the forum's scope and objective with us. Mr. Shioza.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shiozawa of Sasakawa Peace Foundation. Thank you very much indeed for taking time from your busy schedule to be with us. And I also sincerely welcome you to all the participants who are with you online and also the archive listeners. Let me take some minutes at the beginning of today's program to explain to you the background and objective of the Third Pacific Islands Youth Professionals Forum. Now, first about the relations between Japan Pacific Islands and the Sasakawa Peace Foundation. For a long time, Japan developed the bilateral relations with the Pacific Island countries, and Japan's relations with them through PIF, Pacific Islands Forum, began in 1981, where the Pacific Island nations lodged a protest against Japan's plan to dispose low-level nuclear waste in the ocean. And in response, in 1985, then Prime Minister Nakasone visited the Fiji and promised not to carry out this plan, and the then Foreign Minister Kuranari announced the Kuranari Doctrine guidelines for Japan-Pacific Island relations. In 1986, the Sasakawa Peace Foundation was established, and they held the first Pacific Island Nations Conference leaders of the meeting in 1988, and in 1989, Sasakawa Pacific Island nations once developed, which developed into today's division of island nations of this foundation. In 1988, the Pacific Island Nations Conference was organized, and then since 1997, Japanese government organized the Pacific Island leaders meeting every 3 years, and the PALM 10 was held in July last year in Tokyo. And the PALM is a policy framework for Japan and the leaders of Pacific Island countries, where leaders' declaration is adopted, guiding Japan's official development assistance and official security assistance. And we now have the PALM-G, where the leaders of Pacific Island countries and Japanese prefectural governors discuss for the further cooperation at the local government's level. More than 30 years have passed since the Pacific Island Nations conference, the first leaders meeting, and the Pacific Island countries have been facing more complicated situations than ever. And now we see a gap between the state level policies through gap and the practical solutions necessary at the communities level. So in order to fill the gap and find solutions, we need private sectors and civil societies participation more than ever since 1989. Sasakawa Peace Foundation have been organizing various programs for Pacific Island countries' autonomy and self-reliance, such as advancement of maritime security capabilities, introduction of community-based ecotourism, Sasakawa model for balancing preservation of nature and culture and economic benefit for people in the communities, and the establishment of Pacific Academy of Science, as well as Track 1.5 dialogue. And now we are working to establish a private sector-led platform for academic individual private sector collaboration, FLOWERS. FLOWERS stand for freely linked opportunities with efforts and results, offering the platform where academia, industry, and the private sector come together for practical solutions in areas such as health, medical, education, maritime security, marine environment, economy, indigenous culture and their protection, utilization of traditional knowledge, disaster management, trade investment, and energy and waste management. We expect to have the discussions for practical initiatives and solutions and bear fruits. For example, by sharing knowledge and information that we have, then new entrants will find it easy to join community activities. I hope to develop the multi-layered Japan-Pacific Island relations with the PALM, government-led PALM, and private sector-led FLOWERS.
For the development of the multi-layered Japan-Pacific Islands relations, there is another required element. That is the building a foundation of human relationship between Pacific Islands and Japan for future generations. At present, if you take a look at the Japan-Pacific Islands relations, it has been established on the foundation of what was constructed by our predecessors. Now we need the expansion of such a human network among younger generations, and therefore at SPF, we focused on those young students coming from Pacific Island countries through SIS, Small Island Developing States program, among others. And many of them are actually young government officials and young practitioners. Some of them say that they are not young because they're older than 40 years, but the honorary chairman of Sasakawa Foundation, Mr. Sasakawa, climbed Mount Kilimanjaro at the age of 85 last year. So youth of heart and mind, and that's what matters. And therefore, the last July, when Fiji's Prime Minister Rambuka met with Chairman Sasakawa, he said that he's 10 years younger than Chairman Sasakawa, and therefore he's still young. Now, coming back to what I was talking about, those young practitioners are not treated as students, but rather we recognize them as young practitioners and young professionals. And based upon those initiatives, in 2023, we established the first Pacific Islands Young Professionals Forum. The first forum met in August 2023, followed by July in 2024 during the Pacific Island Nations Weeks. And then in November last year, at the time of the Global Development Network in Fiji, we cooperated for the organization of the Global Synergy Conference, and that's where we had ad hoc meeting involving the students of the University of the South Pacific and the disaster management young practitioners. About 20 of them attended that. And also there was a climate resilience related essay contest during the Global Synergy Conference. We chose 5 winners and invited them to this forum today. Once again, I'd like to share with you the 3 objectives of the Pacific Islands Young Professionals Forum. First, to stand from the viewpoint of the young generation to see the priorities and challenges on the issues that are taking place on the ground. And the second, to create a network between the future generation and us Japanese. And then the Tonga and Samoa, Solomon Islands, and the PNG students who used to join the program in early days now went back to their home countries. And last year, when we met them, they kindly cooperated with us in our effort. And the third objective, that's about the creating a strong network among the participants from Pacific Island countries. For that purpose, SPF is not in the position of issuing detailed and specific instructions to those young professionals and practitioners. Rather, our role is to create an environment that is conducive to free discussion among them by offering a kind of the overall framework. And through that framework, for the past several occasions, young practitioners and professionals were engaged in preparatory meetings as well as the group sessions to come up with today's program. We count on you, your creativity and capability, and I'm looking forward to free and constructive and productive discussion today. Last but not the least, I'd like to express my appreciation to JICA for introducing those SIDS program participants. Without your cooperation, this forum was not made a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hiroke. I would like to invite our guest speaker, Ms. Norika Maeda from the Southeast and Pacific Department, Japan International Cooperation Agency, to share a few words on international foreign relations and development in the Pacific Island countries.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to express my gratitude from JICA to invite this forum and see you all in person today. JICA has been supporting young people with our principle that human development leads country development. During 2016 to 2018, JICA accepted a participant for Pacific leaders in recognition of importance of training the young people who will carry out vital role in their country's future. After that, Japan and Pacific Islands agree that people-to-people exchanges are an area of importance. Since 2019, overseas study programs for individual regions were combined into a worldwide program, SDGs global leader. Then JICA continued, accepting many participants through this program. From 2016, about 200 participants from Pacific Island graduated through this program, and now 66 scholars are studying. This program aims training in young people who will lead their country's futures. It's meet indeed purpose of today's forum. The discussion will be significant from the future of Pacific Island, and I expect for all participants to learn plenty new things from sharing experience each other in this opportunity. And today, I'm really surprised and excited to see you, because I met some of them in person or online, and you really look with confidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maeda-san, for your valuable and informative speech. On behalf of the Pacific students participating here today, I would like to invite the student representative, Ms. Elisabeth Wekuna from Tonga, to officiate the opening by sharing the outline of this forum.
Warm greetings, everyone. And again, we welcome you all to this important forum where students from across the Pacific were given the opportunity to share their perspectives on the pressing issues and challenges faced within our respective island countries. The Pacific region is experiencing complex social, environmental, and economic changes. Today, we have the privilege of facilitating directly from the next generation of young professionals who are shaping challenges and will present on possible ways to address them for a more resilient future. The students from different Pacific Island countries will touch on 4 major themes, in which they are climate change and disaster resilience, well-being and health resilience, socio-cultural and economic, and lastly, economic education and research. In each session, students will make a 10-minute summary presentation on the themes and their priority sub-themes, and this will be followed by 15 minutes of panel discussions. To my fellow students, future leaders of the Pacific Islands, may we utilize this opportunity to engage actively with questions and answers, but please remember to ask thoughtful questions and to contribute meaningfully to these discussions. Lastly, we will conclude with a summary outcome presentation from the Global Development Conference from last year, 2024, by the Pacific Delegation Talanoa session, and a draft summary outcomes from this 3rd Pacific Island Young Professionals Forum 2025. Let this be a learning collaboration and empowerment space as we work together to create a positive change in our Pacific communities. Wishing everyone a fruitful discussion, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Wekune. We will now move to the main program. So, as mentioned by the director and our student rep, the Sasakawa Peace Foundation facilitated an essay competition among the Pacific Island students studying in the regional and local universities. The competition was categorized under 3 streams: undergraduate, master's, and PhD level. Today, we have 5 winners from different streams who won either 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place. 4 of them are studying in the University of South Pacific, and one of the students is from the University of Natural Resources and Environment, Papua New Guinea. They are here with us today and have participated equally in this preparing for this forum. So please give them a round of applause. We will start with our first winner from the essay competition. He will present his presentation. Therefore, I would like to invite Mr. Gavin Smith from Samoa, an undergraduate student of USP in Fiji, and one of the competition winners, to discuss his essay. Thank you.
Salofalava, warm Pacific greetings, and konnichiwa. Distinguished guests, fellow young Pacific professionals, and esteemed colleagues, it is an honor to be here today with you all. Thanks to the Sasakawa Peace Foundation for this great opportunity as we come together across the Pacific and beyond. Let us embrace unity, collaboration, and resilience. My name is Kevin Nga'ono Smith, and I come from the small village of Manase in Savai, Samoa, and I am currently studying at the University of the South Pacific. And this is my essay topic, ladies and gentlemen. Traditional ecological knowledge and coastal protection, building climate resilience in my Pacific Island community. As a small island community, we are facing severe challenges due to climate change, such as rising sea levels, stronger storms, and coastal erosion. These threats are not just environmental. They impact our homes, food security, and way of life. So to combat this, we have turned to the wisdom of our ancestors, integrating traditional practices with modern science to restore and protect our coastal ecosystems. My winning essay explores how my community is utilizing traditional ecological knowledge in conjunction with the modern science to restore mangrove forests, preserve coral reefs, and manage marine resources to build climate resilience. One key strategy is mangrove restoration, or the planting of mangroves. Mangroves act as a natural barriers, reducing wave energy and stabilizing the shoreline. Traditionally, my community understood the value of mangroves, utilizing them for both coastal protection and daily use. My community is reviving mangroves renovation through locally driven reforestation initiatives, where elders share their knowledge while modern tools like satellite mapping and erosion modeling help guide renovation projects. This has already helped reduce erosion and protect our land. Another crucial defense is coral reef conservation. Coral reefs protect the coast by breaking waves and providing habitats for marine life. However, rising sea temperatures have led to coral bleaching, weakening these ecosystems. So to address this, my community has reintroduced the tapu system, a traditional practice of temporarily restricting fishing in certain areas to allow reefs to recover. Today, this is supported by scientific monitoring using satellite data, helping us track coral health and enforce tapu zones effectively. In addition, we are transplanting healthy corals to areas affected by bleaching, combining the knowledge of local fishes with marine science expertise. So by blending traditional ecological knowledge with modern science, we are creating a holistic, sustainable approach to climate resilience. It is sustainable, relying on natural resources instead of concrete and steel. Most importantly, it is community-driven, empowering local people to protect their own land rather than waiting for external aid. This not only strengthens our environment's protection, but also preserves our cultural heritage for future generations. Our ancestors understood how to live in balance with nature, and today we are ensuring that their knowledge continues to guide us in the fight against climate change. Overall, the message in my essay is clear. Pacific communities don't need to be passive victims of climate change. We already have solutions in our own history. By integrating traditional ecological knowledge with modern science, we can build true climate resilience. Let us not forget when it's too late. Our ancestors protected these islands for us. Now it's our turn to protect them for the future generations. When you return home, ask yourself, how will you protect your community? The time for action is now or never. Ladies and gentlemen, let us rise with the tide, not be swept away by it. Faftsai lava, thank you, and koseicho itadaki, arigato mashita.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin Smith. We will now move to the climate resilience session presentations. After each presentations, we will go straight into panel discussion. Between the sessions, we will have other essay winners presentation as well. Mr. Moana Wakapuna from Tonga will moderate this session. Presenter from session 1, please start your presentation.
Okay, Bula Vinaka and good afternoon, fellow participants, guests, and representatives from respective organizations. Our group is Advancing Climate and Disaster Resilience in Pacific Island countries. There are many sub-themes that we focused on, but the main issue that we all had in common was food and agriculture security. That's what we will mainly present on today. Just an outline of our presentation, we will focus on the sub-theme, identify and discuss the major gaps, and show you a real-life case that is happening right now, and provide some recommendations, and end with a conclusion. So the main issue we identified is a disruption of traditional food sources due to natural disasters. This is experienced by Fiji, Tonga, FSM, and PNG. The first challenge is a lack of traditional knowledge in growing crops. We see this in Fiji, Tonga, Vanuatu, and Solomons. We noticed that the seasonal farming calendars haven't been updated since 2015 for Tonga and 2009 for Fiji, which shows a shift of focus from traditional farming techniques. This information is usually released by the government. The second challenge is an overdependence on natural fishing resources. We see this in Fiji, Tonga, PNG, Palau, and Cook Islands. There was a report by Climate Resilient Food Systems Alliance in 2022 that notes 75% of Fiji's population relies on the coastal area resources for their needs. That comes up to around 600,000 people in Fiji that is focusing on this for their livelihood. There are some agencies that are doing some groundwork in this area, and we just want to name a few. FAO supports climate smart agriculture initiatives in FSM, Palau, and Marshall Islands to enhance food security. We have SPC that they are running sustainable farming and agroforestry programs in Fiji, Samoa, and Tonga to improve local food production. And on the academic level, we have USP, where they are conducting research on traditional farming techniques and their role in strengthening food resilience in the Pacific. We see this in Fiji and Samoa. In this area, we identified two major gaps. There is a lack of focus on soil conservation. Many farmers grow crops based on commercialized gains instead of thinking of the well-being of the soil. And there is a lack of monitoring mechanisms in place for initiatives proposed by the government and NGOs. Okay, so according to the 6th IPCC's assessment report, which focused on climate change 2022, the impacts, adaptation, and vulnerability, human activities, especially unsustainable land management, are identified as primary contributors to soil degradation. These practices lead to soil erosion, nutrient depletion, and reduced agricultural productivity. And this is the real case that we mentioned earlier on. There's a situation in Palau at the moment. This was reported in December last year. Palau declared 80% of its waters are no fishing sanctuary. But fishermen, right now are struggling to supply the local tuna markets, and this is causing frustration over the nation's fishing restrictions. Because of this, Palau's government wants to reopen part of the sanctuary to allow more fishing. So it plans to shrink its no fishing zone by more than a third and open up a new fishing port on the west coast of its largest island. From this, we can clearly see that there is no monitoring mechanism in place to assist Palau when making decisions that affect the economy and even to help Palau maintain its promise to uphold the 80% no fishing sanctuary.
We identified the first short-term solution, incorporate technology into traditional farming practices. A project that was conducted in Papua New Guinea 2024, utilizing scientific and traditional knowledge. Based on seasonal farming calendar, complemented with scientific knowledge, farmers were sent text messages on their phones on what to plant. Most of the farmers trusted the information as it was delivered in their native language. Since this was successful PNG, we think we can implement this initiative in other Pacific Island countries. Our first solution for long-term solution, strengthen the relationship between NGOs and communities. Strengthening the relationship between NGOs and communities will help ensure that communities receive advice based on studies done by professionals. In the case study of Palau mentioned in slide 6, it emphasized the importance of integrating scientific knowledge with traditional practices to enhance resource management. Many Pacific Island countries lack formal monitoring mechanisms to safeguard their natural resources effectively. By fostering stronger collaborations, NGOs can bridge this gap by providing communities with accurate research-backed recommendation tailored to the local environment. This partnership ensures that conservation efforts are community-driven, increasing compliance and long-term sustainability. Solution 2, conduct more training with smallhold farmers in soil conservation methods. Conducting training with smallhold farmers in soil conservation methods is essential to maintaining soil fertility and ensuring long-term agricultural productivity. In Fiji, where 65% of smallholders own 1 hectare or less, their role in food security and national economy is significant. However, without proper soil management, issues like erosion, declining soil quality, and reduced yields threaten their livelihoods. Training programs can introduce sustainable practices such as crop rotation, agroforestry, and composting, helping farmers improve soil health while maintaining high yields. By equipping smallholders with these skills, they can enhance productivity, reduce environmental degradation, and contribute to a more resilient food system in the Pacific region. To conclude, the following is taken from the short-term and long-term solution, highlighting the benefits it will have on Pacific Island countries in terms of climate resilience in food security and agricultural practices. Firstly, reviving traditional farming techniques optimizes land use, improves soil health, and increases biodiversity. Secondly, integrating technology with indigenous knowledge ensures timely and culturally relevant information, leading to increased trust and adoption among farmers. Thirdly, strengthening NGO community relationship ensures that community receives recommendations based on studies done by professionals. And lastly, empowering smallholder farmers, supporting these farmers gives them access to resources, training, and markets that can bolster local food systems. Maloa pito.
I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Sarah and Mr. Pupunu for their timely, informative, and insightful presentation on one of the most pressing issues of our time. Their focus was on advancing climate and disaster resilience, particularly on food and agriculture security, Before I open the floor for our esteemed guests and colleagues, I would like to roll out an indigenous mat for our dialogue Talanoa session. And now the floor is open. While you thinking for your question, let me ask this question to break the ice. Based on your presentation, I am particularly impressed by the initiatives focused on digitizing traditional and Western agricultural knowledge. As a young professional, do you believe that this initiative will effectively address our agricultural challenges in Oceania over the next 3 to 5 years? If so, how do you envision its impact? If not, what are the reasons for your skepticism? Thank you.
Malawa Pito for the question. Yes, I believe this is achievable. I believe there are existing traditional seasonal farming calendars in the Pacific waiting to be unpacked. In Fiji, there exists the Itauke, a traditional seasonal farming calendar last updated in 2009. In traditional times, Fijian life rotated around the lunar months. Time was not counted in days, weeks and years as in contemporary times. Changes in the lunar month were seen in the flowering or fruiting of various crops and plants, or the availability, marine foods and resources. In Tonga, there exists the traditional seasonal knowledge referred to as Laumahina Whakatonga, or Tongan seasons. Within these seasons exists a timeline for planting or harvesting of specific crops based on lunar cycles. This knowledge was adopted by our forefathers to sustain communities and ensure resilience in terms of food security and disaster. What is missing is documenting and digitizing this knowledge for local farmers and our youth of the future.
And if I can just add on to that, just referring to our presentation where we mentioned the project that was conducted in PNG. The reason why it was successful was because the farmers were sent text messages to their phones. So even if you live in the villages, in the village areas, remote areas, you still have access to a mobile phone, even if it's not a smartphone, right? You still have a phone. And they were able to receive messages based on the traditional farming calendars, right? And we even thinking of a percentage of the farmers who may be the elders in the community, the text messages were written in their native tongue. So if we can imagine it in other Pacific islands, in our own native language as well, that can cater to the elderly farmers out there, which might be quite a high percentage. Just based on the positive results from this project, if given the opportunity to conduct similar projects in other Pacific islands, we know with the support of organizations and donors, we may see positive results as well. And just want to leave you with this quote: to be a successful farmer, one must know the soil first. So let's keep that in mind and remember that. Thank you.
Pinaka. Thank you. Yes. Can somebody, yep.
Thank you very much for your presentation. On one of your conclusions, you talked about strengthening the connections between NGOs and the communities to get them the information they need. I'm curious, what barriers do you see to strengthening that, or what processes, what would it take to strengthen those relations in different islands? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So during our research, actually, we came across a case study in the Solomon Islands where SPC, the Pacific Community, South Pacific Community, actually went out to a village in the Solomon Islands, and they were facing some problems with the soil because they were doing slash and burning agricultural practices. Their main focus was actually on, commercializing. They were focusing on, the monetary aspects of things, and they were also doing. They were also planting on marginal lands as well. So when the team from SPC went over, they went to conduct tests with the soil, and they also introduced some traditional farming techniques for them, one of which was contour farming. So when they introduced that, the farmers started to implement it and could see some positive results. So the main thing they wanted to express was, instead of thinking of what you can get out of the land right now, keep in mind the future generation and keep that, the soil conservation as well in mind. But of course, there may be some, barriers as well, language barriers that might come up. But that's why we have certain organizations like SPC and Red Cross and other organizations in the specific island countries that have local people working and who can bridge that gap if it comes to, language barriers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question and the response too. Anything else you can say? The floor is still open. We still have time. Question, comments, or feedbacks? Yes.
Thank you so much for your presentation. My name is Naya, and I come from the Cape Verde Islands in West Africa. And I'm seeing a lot of similarities in terms of problems, although we're so distant, but still small island developing states. And I wonder, in the study cases that you bring that seem to be successful, what is the acceptance of the governing bodies in terms of trying to replicate these good study cases in other sites or giving support to expand these study cases to other sites? Is there a lot of support for that?
Can the other team members also contribute, please?
So actually, Chelsea from PNG was the one who highlighted this project to us, so I think she might have some insights for you on that.
I'm sorry, could you rephrase your question again for me?
Yes. So you presented some good study cases of how communities have worked together with local NGOs to try to promote more sustainable farming practices. So my question is, if you've had enough support from government or local authorities to replicate these good study cases in other sites in the countries, like if it worked in one village, maybe if you have enough financial support to bring that to other sites or to other Pacific islands. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, for the study case that they did, it was because through the partnership for a University of Goroka and Australian National University. So during the case study, they used 3 different types of location to make sure if these 3 sites or 3 trials can actually, the calendars or the developing of the seasonal farming advisories in PNG can actually work. So during this case study, they set up 3 sites, one on the island, one in the middle, Morobe Province, Goroka, Eastern Islands Province, and East New Britain Province. So these 3 locations, or these 3 provinces, due to the geographical locations, they were able to extract traditional calendars. And from there, with the Partnership for Australian National University, they were able to weather forecast. Using the weather forecast and blending it with the traditional calendars, that's where they were able to send out text messages and all that. But through the government support, I mean, this is through the university partnership between universities to actually try and find possible solutions to help local farmers. But I'm sorry if I don't answer your question, but this is what I've known so far. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you, Naya, for your question. I think from my perspective, we have a lot of cultures in the Pacific Island, but as you mentioned, in Africa and also the Pacific Islands, we are similar. I think the only way forward, if this solution is brought out to the other countries, is by government policies. I think that's the only way. In PNG, we have the National Food Security Policy that was done from 2018. It is between 2018 and 2027. So by 2027, we are thinking of achieving productivity growth, stability and resilience, nutritional enhancement for food crops, women's empowerment, and governance strengthening. So in order for the other societies in the Pacific to ensure that this is carried out, it is through policies by the government. And that is the only way we can achieve this. If we, and also through public-private partnerships, we can also achieve this through funding. But I think from my perspective, as elites, we are here. It is our responsibility to go back to our various countries, home countries, and inform the government on what are the way forward on how to progress food security in the Pacific. Thank you.
Thank you. We still have time? Yep. Okay.
Bulabanaka, and good afternoon to you all. I'm Saki from Fiji. Thank you very much, Group 1, for a wonderful and informative presentation. I believe that traditional knowledge falls on one of the UNESCO's 1972 World Heritage Convention that was signed for the safeguarding and protection of traditional knowledge and customs, and also us, indigenous people, being custodian of that traditional knowledge. And it's important to note that, as in your presentation, you presented that Fiji last updated their data on that knowledge in regards to agriculture and food security in 2009. But Fiji has done a cultural mapping project, and because of that convention. So it's either the policy can be the gap, or do you need a more stronger voice of indigenous to push with identification of the gap that we already identified? For instance, Fiji has a chiefly body that is there for the indigenous people. And I think that came into impact because of that much stronger voice representing the 14 different provinces. Could it also be something that the other Pacific Island nation needed to push forward, because that is a 1972 convention by the UN, and now it's 2025. So I think it's more than 40 years that convention has been there. So I think it could be a good go back and study and review if you are actually pushing on the priorities of tangible and non-tangible knowledge of indigenous people whom we are custodian of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sakusa. So we still have time for questions or comment, feedbacks. The esteemed guest, colleagues.
I can just have not a feedback, but just like to. Oh, okay.
Can you please pass the mic to?
Given the satellite knowledge, it's on, thank you. Given the satellite mapping and its effectivity on soil erosion, is that a possible tool to help in food production or take emulative procedures, please? Does satellite mapping help at all? Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your question. We have a cropping calendar that the farmers normally used, and that what my group members said, it was from 2009. And since 2009, there is a lot of changes that has happened, and we have seen that the production season has lengthened, it has shortened, and it needs to be revived or edited in order for farmers to know what they are supposed to be growing at what time. And another thing that they have mentioned is that our farmers, 65% of our farmers, they are smallholders. And changing the perception of farmers is not easy in our country. Unless and until they see things, then only they will say, yes, this thing is working. So I believe we need to have model farms with regards to change our people's mentality so that they see and they can change themselves and adapt to our traditional way of doing things. Thank you. I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you very much, our esteemed guest and Group 1 and my colleagues for that constructive dialogue that we have started in this forum. Time is up, so
Okay, thank you, everyone.
yeah, let me end this dialogue here and may ask the forum to show our appreciation in the usual manner by putting together our hands.
Thank you, Group 1. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. I would like to invite Ms. Sangeeta Devi Maharaj, a master's student from University of the South Pacific in Fiji, one of the essay winner of in the master's category, of course. You can make your presentation now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and to our online viewers as well. It's an honor to be here. I'm Sangeeta Devi Maharaj from the University of the South Pacific, that's in Fiji. And I am also one of the participants sharing my winning essay from last year's GDN conference titled Building Climate Resilience in Navua. Navua is situated in Viti-Levu, Fiji, and faces significant climate changes, including frequent flooding and cyclones. These events cause economic losses and damages to infrastructure, with Fiji's annual losses estimated at US $79.6 million. Despite these challenges, the Navua community has proactively implemented resilience strategies to mitigate climate impacts. Some strategies used in my community are one, flood management strategies, such as infrastructure development, example, dredging of the Navua River and making rock walls to protect vulnerable areas. How this is impacting my community? It protects homes, schools, and businesses. It also improves safety during extreme weather events, enhances preparedness against climate disasters. Secondly, second strategy is climate smart practices for food security. Flooding and unpredictable rainfall affects crop yields, which puts pressure on agriculture for family livelihoods. Some smart agriculture practices practiced are crop diversification, adaptation of sustainable management techniques, such as vetiver grass, agroforestry incorporated in agriculture, and plastic house, growing in plastic house, hydroponics, and container gardening. Third strategy that my community is looking into is involvement of women, since women are cultivating home gardens to ensure food security by providing healthy diets to their families during extreme weather disruptions. They are also being trained to acknowledge on disaster preparedness programs so that they can cope up when there is a challenge. Also take note that women take care of their families in the evacuation centers that they are in. The fourth strategy is environmental conservation and community awareness. Practices, they are practicing nature-based solution. Example is mangrove planting, which reduces coastal erosion, helps to combat global warming, and it supports marine biodiversity. Education and community engagement is another strategy that they are utilizing. Workshops and trainings are being held on climate adaptation and disaster preparedness. These are done by the help of NGOs and government partnerships, and with the Pacific Resilience Program, they provide funding and technical support for disaster preparedness. To conclude, Naua's success lies in infrastructure upgrades, climate-smart agriculture, environmental conservation, and community-driven initiatives. Women's leadership and education campaigns play a crucial role in strengthening resilience. Collaboration between local communities, government, and international partners is key to sustainable climate adaptation. Ladies and gentlemen, resilience is not a one-time thing, but an ongoing process which requires investment, awareness, and innovation. I would be remiss if I do not express my heartfelt gratitude to the Global Development Network and the Sasakawa Peace Foundation for this invaluable opportunity to voice our concerns and share resilience strategies on an international stage. And I look forward for future collaboration with you all. Winaka Bakalevu, and thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sangita Maharaj, for your wonderful insight on the positive approaches and the projects that is happening in Fiji that other countries can learn from. We will now move to the next session on well-being and public health. Mr. Jimmy Lesau from Samoa will be the moderator for this session. Presenter from session 2, please start your presentation.
Thank you, everyone. Konnichiwa. Our team is health and well-being. We've got sub-teams, non-communicable diseases, HIV and AIDS, and mental health in the South Pacific. There is our outline, team and sub-teams, gap analysis and discussions, proposed course of action, conclusion, and our references. So our main issues, we have two. Firstly, traditional and cultural perception in regard to stigma and social perceptions, that's discrimination in the Pacific Island countries, focusing mainly on Fiji, Samoa, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, Papua New Guinea, and Tonga. Second issue is limited health facilities, specialized facilities, and lack of community-based support in Marshall Islands and Kiribati, Fiji, and Tonga, as well as Papua New Guinea. These are our graphs illustrating the diagnosis and medication status of Samoa and Marshall Islands, as well as Papua New Guinea and Fiji. We have the non-communicable diseases for Papua New Guinea, Tonga with mental illnesses, and Fiji with HIV and AIDS. So our main challenge is lack of safe space for victims to seek support holistically. We move on to the gap analysis. We look at the gap analysis in community level. We're addressing the issue 1 and 2 through policy and implementation reinforcement. We are doing this by identifying, developing, accessing, and then analyze to evaluate the outcome. These are gap analysis 1 and 2 for NCD, non-communicable diseases, HIV, AIDS, and mental health. And for limited health services awareness with our NCDs, as well as the other two, HIV and mental health.
Thank you very much. In regards to our chosen sub-themes that we have identified, in which they are NCDs, mental health, and HIV, they are all interconnected. And this causes a cycle of health issues, specifically in the Pacific. So individuals who are affected by NCDs, they are mentally affected. And individuals who are also victims or affected by HIV and AIDS, they are mentally affected. So how are we going to address these issues or challenges that were mentioned and to breach the mentioned gaps? For a short-term solution, our group have come up with the strengthening of local community health education and awareness. So our solutions, we start from within. We start from ourselves as individuals, from ourselves within our families, and us within the community. How is we will continue our traditional family time, talanoa sessions, and you sit down with your family and actually speak about events or your feelings and just let it all out, because it is okay to not be okay. And for youth and communities' involvement, especially in designing health educational campaigns, this will empower youth to deliver community-based health education, for they are our future generation. Secondly is collaboration with traditional healers and community leaders. This is to address, to integrate local knowledge, information sharing into health strategies. These partnerships with these traditional healers, special leaders such as church ministers, village chiefs, this will help influence the community and to address and inform NCDs, HIV and AIDS, mental health, to decrease the stigmatization and discrimination. Thirdly is the provision of essential medication and services. Whilst it is important to strengthen the supply chain treatment, it is also important to have community-based counselors, advisors, etc. And lastly, we have come up with a short-term solution of having a health line, or more of like a lifeline. So in Pacific Island countries with the rapid technology change worldwide, we believe that just having a health line, a free toll line for these mentioned challenges would actually be effective for individuals to just call in anonymously who needs support. And in regards to the long-term solution, nothing new here, but it will just continue on the institutionalizing, preventing healthcare in schools and workplaces. This is to promote health education through other means. There are already posters everywhere of what not to eat, what to eat. However, the message still doesn't get out, especially to our kids. Our parents were living in a different world compared to the one that we are currently living in. So this could be done through storytelling or advocacy. Advocacy. This will just to help strengthen the current processes in place. And in terms of workplaces, strengthen the current policies, but focusingly on mental health. Secondly is strengthening public health care, strengthen community health centers, have more local psychological first aid health workers, because whilst we invest in disaster-prone infrastructure, we should also invest in building up our own people, have public health workers, more professionals in these areas. Thirdly, empowering women and vulnerable groups in healthcare decision-making to ensure there's gender-sensitive health policies that address the unique needs of everyone. And everyone includes women, our LGBT individuals, and our indigenous population. Another incentive is to have the economic incentives for a healthy lifestyle. Is due to our economic situations, in order to combat the gaps identified regarding the live to eat versus the eat to live, is by actually having for example, having a community garden, youth-led agricultural programs to promote nutritious eating, and for these youth-led wellness initiatives in promoting active lifestyles. And lastly, nothing new, the policies and legislation reforms, heavily on the inclusion of community consultation from grassroots level, review what works, what doesn't work, and continue to enforce or remove from the implemented or current policies, strategies, guidelines, or legislations in place. And in conclusion, we believe by adopting a community-centric approach, this could help breach the healthcare gaps and to also drive in the sustainable progress in well-being and development. For this highlights, a healthy population reflects a nation proactively working. The outcomes would be due to the outcomes we would want to see in the upcoming years or for our future generation to live in is a more strengthened community engagement environment, a more stronger healthcare system in place breaching these healthcare gaps, education investment for more informed health choices, more women and vulnerable group empowerment, and a healthier lifestyle and mental well-being. So by taking action today, we shall build a more healthier and a more resilient tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Team Wellbeing and Health, for that wonderful and insightful presentation, Lisa, and your team. Well, before I open the floor to the audience and the participants, I would like to say something first on the presentation. On your presentation, you pull up the data on the issues and that, but the solutions it's like it's generalized. We didn't see like the measures of the success of how it's going, like this, the implementations of the short-term goals and the long-term goals within these countries. Maybe some frameworks and some policies that they've been working on. It's something that I think the audience do, and I can see that the audience are taking notes. Probably Adona will be interested in that. Well, we'd like to open the floor to everyone who wants to ask questions and comments. Yeah, we have.
Thank you so much. Actually, I would like to mention the first presentation about the climate change adaptations. I think this group working very, very well, because within short, I don't know how much period of time that you spent, but you tried to cover almost all areas in the community-based adaptations, natural-based solutions, and many things. So one question actually, because I found that you tried to cover the one very important things. It's called the climate adaptive crop productions. So you tried to do the homestead gardening. So since this is coastal areas, and there is also many times could be there flash flood. So my question is how much this initiative is success. That means, we know that in the rapid this weather changes, so most of the crop productions in the homestead gardening mostly actually failure in different areas. So how much on your project actually succeed? Because I saw very beautiful picture. So maybe it will fulfill your, through this homestead gardening, through your nutritions. So thank you so much. I think it's a really great example for this particular island. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for understanding our situation.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting that important question relating to climate change, which is something that is very pressing on the island nations. But yes, I understand the challenge that you had raised or highlighted, but I also understand that in project management, there are lots of tools that can actually assess these environmental impacts. And I just said that the example that we drew from initiative in the States. And if I transcend this into a Pacific contextual, I believe that with the environmental impact assessment tool, we can identify challenges and then address it proactively prior implementation. So yes, I believe that it's doable, and with our Pacific Island spirit, anything is possible. Thank you.
Wow. Anyone wants to, any more questions or comments from the audience? Or yes, Sarah?
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I was just wondering, just based on the graphs and the data that you put, your sub-themes are focused on NCDs, HIV, AIDS, and mental health, right? But according to your graph, cardiovascular health is higher, the most, right? It was recorded 19 million compared to like 10 million, 2 million for the other NCDs, etc. So I'm just wondering, what was the reason for your group focusing mainly on NCDs and HIV and mental health, because it's well-being and public health resilience, right? Or maybe do you think the solutions you suggested for these areas, can it be also implemented with cardiovascular health, that sector as well? Because that's like the most number of deaths recorded in that area. So just wondering like why you chose to focus on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. As you all are aware, that health itself, it's a big umbrella. And to break that down and for us to choose our chosen sub-themes, we decided, of course, there's high blood pressure, obesity, and everything else. We decided to focus on what we put in our mouth. Why are we still breathing today? Because we are not looking back, we're trying to learn. We are looking forward. So then that's why we chose NCDs, because it's one of the, it's common within our Pacific Island countries. It's a major public health issues. And in regards to HIV and AIDS and mental health, those were given sub-themes for us to choose from, and that was the majority of we chose. So we just went by the majority within our groups that we best believe was the main concerns and challenges, issues faced within our PICs. Thank you.
Yeah, can we?
My name is Willie Losey. I'm from the Kingdom of Tonga. I was invited to be here for the Ocean Summit and also for the Pacific Leaders Meeting. This is a comment, and it's about the health and well-being. And let me state clearly, we are what we eat. So, and I'll just leave it there, because pretty much with that, we are in a space with gratitude here in Japan, and pretty much that's what they do, and that's what they're living. That's their gratitude. That's what's driving their energy as well. What I wanted to make a comment here is the health and well-being in related to why I was here. It's about the health and well-being of the ocean. It's no differences about us as well. So there is a strong interconnectivity or interconnected of everything we are doing. So what I'm interested to suggesting here is a solution for what can be contextualizing and implementing it locally from a global context. So for me, if I say what we are doing in Tonga, it's phenomenal in many ways. But let me say this, if we want to lose weight, we need to come to Japan. Yeah? And that's, or we go to India, because it's really relatively to where you are that you can look back how important of this value of life is, which is what well-being and health is. So there is a relationship of the ocean, of what we are dialoguing all about. It's about the life and the well-being of the ocean, which is to do with the whole energy that we are moving even to the blue carbon and so on. So for me, personally, the reason why I take the microphone, because it's important for me, the health and well-being. And let me say this to you, I'm about to turn 60 very soon. And you never know that I'm turning 60 for Tongan. Yeah? Because I understood how important food as a medicine. So you are so blessed to be here in Japan, and make your time worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Willie. I was just wanting to add on to Willie's point. Hello, everybody. My name is Viliami. I'm also from the Kingdom of Tonga. I was invited today. I'm actually a teacher here in Japan, English teacher in Ibaraki, but I was invited here today by my wife, who's on the table here for Tonga. So, hello, my love. Yeah, so she came here on a scholarship, and I said to her, you go, I will find a job, I will come to Japan. So I found a job, and I teach at a high school with really incredibly intelligent kids. And just to back up Willie's point, the biggest threat to countries like Nauru, Samoa, American Samoa, Tonga, is our health, okay? So in the 1960s, our people were strong and fit. Now, the estimates are my country is about 50% diabetic, right? And what happened in between that time is that we will introduce three things: sugar, flour, and salt, right? But that's not our natural food. This is our natural food over here, right? So on a personal note, I just want to add that I've been in Japan for 8 months and I've lost nearly 40 kilos. And I'm learning that the Japanese people, they have the art of living. And it's a balance in our ecosystem. And when I return back to Tonga, when I go back with my wife, I want us to rethink, are we going to let these shops, right? Most of the merchandise are run by Chinese, sell us sugar, salt, and the flour, because we get it at such a small price, right? But can we think about the policies that can help our people combat the diseases that we are facing right now? And it has to do with the environment. It has to do with going and fishing and farming. And so maybe Bessie would like to add on to that, but that was just my addition to that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for the wonderful and constructive feedbacks and comments from our Pacific Islanders. We have a question from the audience. This is our last question.
I don't have a question. I think it's just to continue on the thread that what was said by these two gentlemen from Tonga, right? I absolutely agree and subscribe to what you said, that we are what we eat, and we should look more and more to our local and traditional food. But I think I want to pick up from the question that was made as well on why you chose HIV and mental health, being that that is not the biggest cause. It's because I believe it's the biggest stigma, isn't it? We don't hear or we don't talk much about mental health. HIV is a big taboo. Maybe it's not the biggest cause, but it's a cause of concern. And perhaps mental health is not the biggest cause because it's not reported. People don't talk about it. So a healthy body is also a healthy mind. So let's just keep this holistically, as you said in your title, and understand the importance and how our body affects our mind and how our mind affects our body. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you so much. What about a big round of applause for the questions and the comments and our presenters as well. Malo lava vaftai, Malini.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to invite Ms. Myron Bishop from Federated State of Micronesia, an undergraduate student of USP and one of the winners of the competitions from the essay.
Kasalelia Mokatin Rananim and Lenmo. My name is Marian Simon Wichup, and I am from the Federated States of Micronesia, a nation of islands, also on the front lines of climate change. I'm very grateful for this opportunity provided by the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, and I am humbled to be here to share about my essay, Building Towards a Climate Resilient FSM and the Pacific, by sharing real events on the ground in my country. Growing up, I'm sure we've all have heard stories from our elders about how our shorelines have shrunk, fresh water has become scarce, and storms have become stronger. But the real question is, how do we make our communities more resilient? FSM consists of over 600 islands, most of them low-lying atolls, making us highly vulnerable to climate change. Rising sea levels are eroding coastlines and threatening homes. As seen in the image in my presentation, that is a house that's now under the water. In September of 2023, El Nino, triggered by a severe drought that worsened by January 2024, elevated to a state of emergency that was declared on March 11, affecting over 6,000 of our people, leaving 16,000 facing food insecurity. While the response was immediate, relief alone is not enough. The drought's impact was devastating to the point where entire rivers dried up and taro farms were lost. In this image, the mayor of one of our states showed the dried up aquifer, showing a stark reminder of how critical water security is. Aid did arrive in this situation, but once again, we continue to see the same patterns. A crisis followed by a short-term fix. If we want real resilience, we need long-term solutions. Two of the most powerful forces for change are collective effort and youth leadership. When communities come together in our Pacific Island countries in times of crisis, falling back on traditional communalism, it allows us to address issues collectively and effectively. Additionally, youth groups and platforms such as this shows that young people from diverse backgrounds and expertise can come together to take action. Such networks provide spaces to exchange knowledge, collaborate, and develop action plans that can be implemented in our own countries, ensuring that resilience efforts are sustainable and locally driven. An example of a locally driven initiative is through channels like Educations, as shown in the picture, where curriculums have introduced climate change concepts and are being taught in our own local languages, ensuring that climate resilient efforts are in our own context. A real solution to these challenges are projects such as the Enhancing the Climate Change Resilience of Vulnerable and Island Communities in the FSM, where the project focuses on installing and repairing rainwater catchment systems, but involving community members to promote ownership and sustainability of such projects by equipping them with the skills and capacity to maintain these systems themselves. Such projects echo the fact that to build a resilient strategy, we need 4 key pillars. First, community-driven solutions to ensure local voices shape decisions. Second, integrating traditional knowledge, such as following seasonal crop planting and food preservation methods to ensure food and water security. Third, investing in resilient infrastructure, like better water system and disaster preparedness to strengthen our responses. And lastly, ensure that accurate data is collected to inform policies that reflect real conditions, especially in the outer islands. Without these steps, we will always be reacting instead of preparing. Climate change is not just an FSM issue, it is a Pacific issue and a global issue. That is why we must strengthen regional collaboration, integrate traditional knowledge into our adaptation strategies, unite across all levels, and act now. Kailangan kamagar kiniso kulo. Arigatou gozaimashita, and thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Myron. We will now move to the next session on social, cultural, and economic issues. Ms. Myron Bishop from FSM will be the moderator for this session. Presenter from session 3, please start your presentation.
Konnichiwa, Mulavinaka, and a very good afternoon to all our invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, and to all our viewers. Welcome to our third Pacific Island Young Professional Forums. Our presentation is focusing on the issues of social, cultural, and economic problem that is common to all our representing countries in our groups. So the groups are consisting of members from Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, and Papua New Guinea. So the outline of our presentation, we will talk on the two common sub-themes on unemployment rate, existing policy, proposed solution, drugs, existing policy, challenges, and possible path and cost of action, and conclusion. Social, cultural, and economic on unemployment. The unemployment record is one of the common and existing issue across this nation, with the focus of the seasonal worker scheme, whereby a lot of our young skilled personnel are involved. So the seasonal worker is an agreement and partnership program between the Pacific Island nation and overseas countries such as New Zealand and Australia. Drugs, the increase in drug-related crime rates, health issues, and social problems across the Pacific has become a significant concern. So this situation necessitates prompt and decisive action. And there's challenges on brain drain. The migration of many skilled workers to overseas employment has resulted in a significant shortage of skilled professionals in local labor market. Crime rates, there is a direct correlation between drug abuse and the increase in crime, encompassing theft, violence, and gang-related activities. According to the World Bank and IMF, they did research on unemployment rate in the Pacific. So the pie chart is differentiated in color coding and representing the unemployment rate in the Pacific countries. So as you can see, PNG 5%, Fiji 4.10%, Solomon 4%, Samoa 8.10%, Vanuatu 3.20%, and Tonga 3.10%. Look at our existing policy. We have existing policy in place for PNG, Fiji, Solomon Island, Vanuatu, and Samoa. Apart from that, Tonga is recently have a consultation workshop was held in Nuku'alofa to bring together the representatives from various sectors on to provide feedback on the first draft of their NEP. So this collaboration is good for opportunities for local people. However, it has become a problem of brain drain. Brain drain is a loss of skilled workers. Since these skilled workers are moving overseas, there has been a gap for these empty spaces to substitute, not only replace, but also a general contribution to the economy in terms of human capital and other family issues of separation. So as you can see on the PALM scheme workers by country of origin from Australia, you can see the number from each countries. The number of workers have left our countries. By identifying this gap on brain drains, you call for affirmative plan and action to help replace and rebuild the empty space in these specialized areas. So therefore, on problems solution, we need action plan. So to maximize on the skill training opportunity and fund, and equal provision of training opportunities to rural and informal community, and skill assessment, internship and apprenticeship for 6 months to 1 year, and employment, and SMEs, entrepreneurship proper. So this idea has led us to identify there is also a need to identify and support potential entrepreneurship that amongst the community members, both informal and informal communities. So with the provision of fairly distributed opportunity of upskilling, the training and workshop and sponsorship of proper monitored business plan with the henceforth make people dream come true. So this will help the government objective of tackling the unemployment problem and other related issues linked to it. For this program to better function and regulated, proper monitoring devices is required. So monitoring is a watchdog, a body, a committee that studies and questions and ensure that every process involved is followed accordingly with appropriate system, operation procedure, SOP, based on the good intention and ethics. So monitoring length is very important. So agency are responsible, business community, and the period short 1 year and the long term of 3 years, and review after 3 years.
Moreover, drug is another problem that is common across these countries. The level of crime rate published on daily media outlet relating to drugs is amusing and saddening. So as you can see from the slide, different island nations, we have some different data that represent those news flash appear in the headlines. Despite having a drug act, those island nations, they have the different drug act that specified this issue of drugs. This has raised some questions that left behind for a specific group of people here. This has raised questions such as there is a lack of enforcement of the law by the public, by the government officials and border watchdogs. Second, could there be a possibility of corruption whereby the officials are involved? Now, from the crime rate, the lack of opportunity, cap and economic deprivation could be possibly why the suspect find themselves in these situations. The lack of empowerment and love received from their homes, their surroundings, and peer pressure are all contributing factors to these challenges. So we have from the crime rate, lack of law enforcement, and also opportunity cap in terms of economic deprivations from the following points. In the small Pacific island communities, everyone is directly or indirectly related. Therefore, the victims or suspect of every criminal's act is a family member. Therefore, immediate blunt actions and help is required. So we bring forth action plans that will help address both unemployment and drug issues in terms of short-term solutions and also long-term solutions. For short-term solutions, for stakeholders, collaborations and partnerships, yearly review and documentation of SOPs, review of education system and integration of more life skills training to engage employed youths. Also the support for technical and vocational educational training, TIFET, example Australian Pacific Coalition APDC. We also have this most in our island Pacific nations. And also we have effective enforcement of the existing drug act and empowering recognition and reward. For the long-term solutions, timely and timely monitoring system as watchdogs, this compromise of government agencies. Also we have churches and other NGOs, their stakeholders, and enforcement collaborations and partnership with stakeholders, example through MOU, providing training institution for life skills trainings, relevant authorities to maximize local overseas exchange funding programs.
Also, the improve and establishment of community-based drug rehabilitation center and specialized in training package for drug rehabilitation center officers, government and private partnership. So in conclusion, the above action plans that we bring forth are interconnected, and we believe that these will address and bring a better solutions for both employment, unemployment, and drug issues. Thank you too much for attention, everyone. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you very much for the informative presentation. I will now open the floor for any questions from the audience. Yes, we have one in the back. Could you please pass the mic? Thank you.
So thank you so much. Again, I'm giving my opinion. But first, I would like to give a special thanks for your very interesting research. But one thing I would like to share, because the world is so advanced now. So when we are going to investigate any problem and any solution, it should be more specific. So, in the first presentation that in again climate change and disaster management. So my question is, when you are going to investigate anything in the community, here is some defined framework. So if any community we go to the SS to do it, stock taking, you have need to the one term is called community risk assessment, CRA method. So when you try to find out this solution, did you do it? Because here is community-based solution is combination of some of the plans. So first is conducting the community risk assessment, and it's lead to the risk reduction action plan, and it's going to the annual development plan, and then it's relevant to the national adaptation plan of action and many things. So when you are talking about the disaster management and find out any solution, because sometimes also some narrative, it's if you given to the chat GPT, they will give the solutions in similar way. But if you would like to do the evidence-based some findings, you have to go to in this way. So my second comments, you are talking about the economic and social well-being. So this is a very big terms actually, economic and social well-being. There are many theories, there are many Nobel laureate already received the, what would I say, based on this theory. So when again we go to the analysis the economic and social well-being for the particular community, because this is the welfare for the island nations. So here is the opportunity that when we are going to investigate, so go more in-depthly, even in the 10 days desk work, also find out the framework and try to assess in each framework. So finally, because drug is not a new problem, it's everywhere. So for solutions, actually that my idea, my suggestion is not be like that in this way more narrative. It should be the what types of problem you find, because it's the demand behavior. There are many reasons you have to identify. Maybe this is not equally applicable to the all of your island state. It's maybe Papua New Guinea. There is some society where the demand behavior is because of some many reasons behind this. Maybe they are living in the border area where there is drug is accessible, but it's not be equally applicable to the Martian Island. So my suggestions actually for all of these three research-based policy directions, if it is possible, if you have a time, to go to more in-depthly, because every framework is there. Because when you are going to the economic and social well-being, here is the UNDP framework is there. Human Development Index is there. Here Abraham Maslow's theory is there. So actually it should be like that. And otherwise the findings in this way, in those items, if we just give the check any of open AI, it will come out with this way. So I'm sorry to say that it's not like that, but I'm again requesting It should be more analytical. What is the problem? Who solve it? And who actually responsible for it? Because state system, already here is the system. Because it started with the top down, bottom up. First is family. So what is the role of the family to control the actual drug problem? Then it's come to the community. Who will do this community and what types of problem is there? And then it's come to the state level. Then it's come to the PALM, that intergovernmental organization there, and the donor organization like us. How can we contribute on these particular matters? So I think more concretely, here is also opportunity to work. Finally, there are many things to work, and you people did really outstanding job. Maybe it's starting in the next time. If you follow these particular items, it could be more evidence-based, because the world is evidence-based. It's live with rational, and we are talking about the sustainability. And sustainability, when we are talking, it should be more concrete. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That is very accurate. We are in a world where everything needs to be black and white in order for us to get funding and all of these types of assistances that are available and to validate our arguments. So yes, thank you for that comment from the audience. Any other questions, comments, or feedback? Yes.
Malolele, everyone. My name is Christy Langlangi. I'm also a Tongan, and I felt the need to ask a question as well, as my fellow Tongans have already asked before. But I'm here as a scholar, but I was teaching in Tonga for the past 5 years, and apparently I've heard in your presentation that there is climate change education in your island. My first question is climate change education effectively incorporated into the school curricula as a different class, or is it integrated into only a few consisting subjects already, such as geography, etc.? And because in Tonga, I taught in Tonga, and climate change education is not a different subject in the schools, but it's very important to me. There should be a different subject about just climate change education to the students. My other question is, how can climate change education be effectively incorporated into the school curricula across the regions? What role can traditional knowledge, local context, and community involvement play in ensuring that this education is both practical and empowering the next generation? Because I believe educating our youth now and our students now through climate change education in schools will be that would be the best initiative if we're trying to achieve sustainability and resilience. And in these, that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So in FSM, I did mention in my essay that we incorporate climate change concepts into our curriculum. It's not a curriculum by itself. It is under like geography or science and stuff like that. But we do have those teachings inside the classrooms where we, instead of teaching about weather in English, we do teach it in our own local languages, and that helps in a way because those teachers not just follow the book exactly, but they also incorporate traditional knowledge of environmental cues. I hope that helps. Yeah, so for example, in the outer islands, there are traditional ways of preserving food in times of climate disaster. And children as young as elementary grade are taught these things inside the classroom. I'm sorry, it's not specifically in our curriculum. We just incorporate it into like science or geography to just assist in our climate change initiatives. I can't tell you specifically like how it's effectively working, but we do feel like if we have our own local, if we add our own local context to it, we're more resilient in that way because we know how to address certain situations in our own way. I hope that answers your question.
Can I just add on to my sister's explanation? I'm sure that this is very evident in our school curriculum, how it's been colonialized. When we learn about climate change growing up in primary school and elementary, we learn about polar bears and how the ice are melting in the North Pole and South Pole. And it's not exactly how we localize climate change, that it's actually happening in front of our doorsteps and our backyard. It's attacking us from all angles. And even at USB, I'm just going to talk on my people from Fiji, on if you want to study climate change, you can study climate change at postgraduate level, a postgraduate diploma in climate change, a master's degree in climate change, a doctorate of philosophy in climate change. It's integrated like how Ms. Mawichap has specified, but to localize the context of studying of the climate change in our local indigenous context, that's missing. And that's why I'm sure the group of education will emphasize on the need to increase or to reintroduce and reintegrate, reevaluate, reflect how there's a need to decolonize research and education in the Pacific, Naka.
Thank you, Salote. Any other questions from the audience or comments, feedback? Yes.
Thank you to the group for a great presentation. So I'm based in Fiji. I teach at USP. And we've obviously seen an increase in drug consumption in Fiji, among other islands, as has been highlighted. I'm sorry if I missed it, but I wondered if the group could tie together if they think any social issues have driven the increase in consumption, or if it's just increased availability of drugs. Like, is it tied to a change in unemployment rate or something like that? Sorry again if I missed it, but yeah, if you could provide some more information on that, it would be great. Thank you.
Sorry, I'd just like to add on to this question, because it seems like this will be the last question. I'm also wondering whether there's a connection between the drug use and HIV and mental health. So if you guys can touch on that as well.
Thank you very much for the questions and the comment. Since I'm a representative from Fiji, I think I have a very little bit much detailed and information on what's happening on the ground, even though I live here in Japan now. I'm studying here. Yes, there's a connection between drugs, drug use, and the rise in HIV cases from what we see on published on media outlets now, especially with the use of meth and needle sharing of the same needle. And they get these needles, they are accessible at pharmacies. So you can get them, and they use the same needle to inject the different person so that they can be high on drugs or whatever the term is. They can hallucinate on that, and at the same time be involved on sexual activities. And but as the findings that is revealed on the news on this situation, the rise in HIV is not so much on the sexual transmission, it's so much on the sharing of the same needle through blood transfusion. And not only that, it's so sad to see that even high school students are involved. And this has also caused more school dropouts. When education now in Fiji is accessible because they don't pay school fees from right into ECE level, and even going to the USP or the FNU, but with some sort of agreement on the university level, is so sad to see that still high school students, and even can go as low as year 8 students. So that's where the relationship between HIV and the rise on HIV cases and drugs usage, and also unemployment, because big money comes on drugs. And the lifestyle or the things in Fiji is so expensive now. The prices of things are all moving up everywhere in the Pacific. We can, if it moves up in the US, expect the other Pacific countries will also go up. So people want good money, but easy money. So they are also moving in that direction. And I think for the accessibility to go into a pharmacy and get those needles to inject people, if there is a gap, if the Ministry of Health and the government can work together and only allow those things to be released to medical people instead of anyone or some prescription from medical health workers in order for you to access those at the supermarkets. Thank you.
Thank you, and that will be our last question for this session. Can we get a round of applause for all the presenters, please?
Thank you for your group presentation. Is it Moana? It's all right. Yeah. I would like to invite Mr. Moana Wakapuna from Tonga, a PhD student from the University of the South Pacific, one of the essay winners in this PhD category. Over to you, Mr. Moana.
Otua, Motonga, Kohokitofia. All protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen. What will be the cost of our inaction if we fail to educate our youth about climate change? Imagine a future where our children are unprepared to face the escalating impacts of climate change, where communities are left vulnerable to rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and environmental degradation. Without the knowledge and tools to address these challenges, the consequences could be devastating for Oceania and beyond. By weaving climate change into our curriculum, we can empower the next generation to build a sustainable and resilient future for all. I was surprised to learn about the absence of Climate Change in Education Act, policies, and curriculum frameworks in a country vulnerable to natural disasters. Without immediate action, the situation will only worsen. It is imperative that we equip our youth with the knowledge and skills to address these challenges head-on. How many of you have noticed changes in your local environment due to climate change? Please raise your hands. Education is our hope. It is a powerful tool for change. By integrating climate change into the curriculum, we can foster a generation to inform and proactive individuals. Students will learn about the science behind climate change, its social and economic impacts, and the strategies for mitigation and adaptation. This knowledge will empower them to make informed decisions, advocate for sustainable practices, and lead community initiatives. For instance, in Tonga, educational programs focused on climate resilience have already shown positive results, with students leading projects to protect their local environments and promote sustainability. Allow me to share a touching story about my community in Tonga during the Hunga Tonga, Hunga Ha'apai tragedy. The memories of that day are etched in my heart and soul as the community, bewildered and frightened, struggled to comprehend the unfolding disaster. Their cries still echo in my mind, a painful reminder of the helplessness we felt in the face of such overwhelming devastation. What makes it more painful is the lack of knowledge. Mainstreaming climate change education is not just about individual empowerment. It is about building community resilience. Educated individuals can play a crucial role in preparing the communities for the impacts of climate change. They can help develop and implement adaptation strategies, such as building flood defenses, promoting sustainable agriculture, and conserving natural resources. In Tonga, community-based education programs have successfully engaged local population in climate action, leading to improved disaster preparedness and stronger community bonds. By making climate change a core part of our education system, we can create a network of informed and resilient communities across Oceania. In conclusion, the urgency of climate change demands immediate and decisive action. By mainstreaming climate change education in Oceania's curriculum, we can empower our youth with the knowledge and skills to address this global challenge. We have the opportunity to build a generation of informed and proactive individuals who can lead the way in creating sustainable and resilient communities. Let us not wait for the consequences of our inaction to unfold. Instead, let us take bold steps today to ensure a brighter, more sustainable future for Oceania and the world. Together, we can make a difference. Let me say it one more time. Mainstreaming climate change into our education system in Oceania is not an option. It is a necessity for our survival and prosperity. Malo.
Thank you, Moana-san, for the wonderful speech. We will now move to the last session on education and research. Mr. Sakusa Naivua from Fiji will moderate this session. Presenters from session 3, please start your presentation.
Esteemed guests, SPF, our gracious host, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great privilege to be part of this forum today alongside my fellow Pacific professionals as we explore a topic of shared importance, the future of education and digital inclusion in the Pacific. Our region, just like Japan, is rich in knowledge, cultural heritage, and innovation. However, we continue to face significant challenges in ensuring equitable access to education and digital resources. Today we will present practical community-driven solutions aimed at bridging gaps in our ongoing initiatives. Rather than duplicating these existing initiatives led by the governments, NGOs, and private sectors, our team focus is on fostering sustainable pathways that empower communities, local communities, to take ownership of their digital and educational futures. Before we explore solutions, it is essential to recognize the opportunities we have as young professionals to support existing initiatives across our island nations. We believe that in order to truly harness our potential and as young professionals and the assistance from SPF and donor agency, we wanted to direct our focus on two common critical challenges currently affecting education and research in the Pacific. So our first chosen challenge of interest is digital divide. I know it's very broad, but it's quite trending, a trend of challenge in the Pacific nations, where I represent Tonga. My team members are from PNG, Fiji, and Samoa. When our team analyzed this challenge, we wanted to acknowledge that most of our Pacific Island nations have already established policy frameworks in the education sector, which recognize our chosen challenges as ongoing concerns. In addition, there are significant efforts led by governments, NGOs, and private sectors to address these gaps. Currently, 39% of primary schools and 23% of secondary schools lack ICT infrastructure for teaching. Furthermore, 77% of teachers do not have access to the digital tools necessary for effective instructions. These statistics highlight to us that there is urgent need for sustainable and community-driven approaches to bridge the digital divide. Despite efforts to expand broadband coverage, high internet costs, particularly in BNG, continue to prevent many communities from accessing online educational resources. Moreover, ICT policies in several countries remain ambitious, but often misaligned with local realities, prioritizing infrastructure development over essential aspects such as teacher training and digital literacy. Our second challenge of interest is related to the challenges in the Pacific education and research. Education and research in the Pacific have historically been influenced by external models, criteria, and standards, often overlooking indigenous knowledge systems. Currently, over 80% of research conducted in the Pacific region follows Western research methodologies, with limited integrations of Pacific epistemologies. This approach can adversely undermine cultural identity and limit the effectiveness of research in guiding policy. While donor-driven projects have contributed significantly to education and research around the Pacific, they sometimes prioritize external research agendas over local needs, reducing community ownership. Furthermore, standardized methodologies often do not accommodate indigenous research protocols, which affects the credibility and applicability of findings. To address these challenges, Pacific scholars have developed indigenous research frameworks, such as Kakala in Tonga, Vanua in Fiji, and Fa'afaletu in Samoa. They prioritize culturally respectful, community-driven research methods. These frameworks provide an alternative model that aligns research with local knowledge systems and governance structures. So what are the realities of these challenges in the Pacific? These challenges have led to educational disparities. From the Pacific Island Literacy and Numeracy Assessment, rural students in Fiji, Papua New Guinea, and the Solomon Islands face lower literacy and numeracy rates due to limited ICT access and resource constraints. Infrastructure disruptions is also a reality. Nature disasters have further worsened educational inequities. ADB report in 2017, over 300 schools have been damaged by disasters, displacing students and delaying learning. Also in Vanuatu and PNG, recent earthquakes have left thousands without proper schooling. In regard to our second challenge, it has caused cultural erosion and research dependency. Few qualitative studies on this issue highlights the predominance of Western-centric curricula, and externally driven research continues to limit the integration of indigenous knowledge in educational and in education policies. Given these impacts on specifically the rural and remote areas in the Pacific, what can we do as young professionals of the Pacific? As young Pacific professionals, we still want to emphasize that in our capability and our potential, we want to emphasize that our role is not to duplicate government and NGO initiatives, but to support their effective implementation at the grassroots level, ensuring sustainability and localizations. Many ICT projects have introduced digital tools to communities, but sustainability remains a challenge. So our short-term approach focuses on training respected community groups. Our culture is very strong with they highly value these type of groups. So we wanted to provide them trainings so that they are well equipped with ICT and digital literacy, enabling them to support digital adoptions and grassroots level. A success stories that with similar approach in Australia, Literacy for Life Foundation has successfully embedded digital literacy into indigenous communities, improving technology engagement and skill retention. Similarly, on our long-term approach, we propose an incentivized mentorship network where young professionals train community-based digital leaders. This model enables local ownership to ICT growth and innovation, as in similar contexts like in tech hubs for youth empowerment initiatives, where youth train in digital governance and influence national ICT policies. As part of our approach to address our challenge number 2, we aim to strengthen cultural and research integration as our short-term goals. The idea is to preserve indigenous knowledge through digital storytelling. Our group wanted to note that our strong cultural background, our indigenous knowledge, is traditionally passed down orally, making it vulnerable to loss. To address this, we propose training young professionals in digital storytelling, enabling communities to document and share their knowledge through cultural respectful educational materials. Evidence in Kenya, they have demonstrated success in this area by digitizing traditional stories and governance practice, ensuring long-term cultural preservations. For a long-term approach, we have proposed to establish knowledge-sharing hubs for indigenous research. This is to create knowledge-sharing hubs where young professionals collaborate with education ministries, research institutions, and indigenous leaders to integrate traditional methodology into education and policy making. Just to wrap up our long-term approach with our similar successful stories from Finland, which kind of similar context to our Pacific Islands, they effectively integrated Sami research into national education system through structured youth leadership. Our role as a young professional is to bridge the gap between research, education, and policy implementations. By fostering sustainable community-led approach, we can empower local communities, strengthen indigenous-led education, and enhance digital inclusion through long-term advocacy and mentorship. We firmly believe in strengthening digital resilience and local ICT leadership, indigenous knowledge integrated into education and policy, and in community-led research and sustainable knowledge transfer. ICT will not just be installed, it will be maintained, expanded, and utilized by local leaders. This is how we create sustainable change that truly empowers our community. Now is the time to act. With your support, this solution will not only succeed but thrive. Join us in shaping a future where Pacific communities lead their own digital and educational transformation. Vinaka Whawhetai Lava, thank you Tomas, and Malo Apito.
Thank you very much, Group 4. And that was the last presentation group for us this afternoon. Shaping the Pacific's future with education and research. Now the floor is open. If anyone wishes to raise or ask any question or have any comment relating to the presented topic. Thank you. We have a gentleman, Mr. Francis from Vanuatu.
Thank you for the nice presentation. Informative, and I just want to contribute in one of your slides about some of the sources you've been provided, especially in the context of, can you get back to the slides of UNESCO 2024, but earthquake hits Vanuatu. Can you get back to the slides, please?
I think, you're right. It was earthquake and landslide in BNG. Is that what you're after?
Vanuatu one.
You want the slides? I can't control the slides. You can say what you want to say.
Okay, thank you. From the slide, I'm not sure what the source you've collected, but you've mentioned that as school damages, but specifically, how many school damages? We only have few in the capital. So just to just to inform to Aton that not when you say schools, you have to be specific about the data about the schools. Only in the city being affected, but most of the schools they reopened for this academic year. Just to add on for that, thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Barata, would you wish to respond, ma'am? Okay, this is a very interesting topic about education and research. While you're still thinking of your question, you know, when we talk about digital spaces, they are very educational nowadays. TikTok is very educational nowadays. Facebook is very educational. You get more news and fresh information from this in your fingertips. So I follow a very interesting Tongan lady. She lives in Australia, I believe, and she writes books, she publishes books. And her Facebook page is Island Girl to Airline Pilot. It might sound funny because I'm quoting for Facebook, but she go to Tonga all the time, or she lives in Australia, and she starts digitally recording all the Tongan food she cook for her family. These are digital spaces because I believe these are attractive spaces as well when we're trying to get the youth attention and the younger ones in high schools. So I think we believe we can create something very recreational and also very tempting to always go and see on these digital spaces with good intentions. So I think I've broken the ice. So questions, please? There's a question from the lady at the back.
Thank you again for wonderful presentations. First, to this most recent group, I wanted to ask, to what extent do you think it's necessary to include digital literacy training, both for the teachers and students and communities, in how to determine what is true and what is misinformation, as we have a lot of that going around right now? And then the second question, just kind of to the entire floor, we've heard that the community is really where these things start, and it needs to be community-driven and community-led. And do you feel that the communities that you're thinking of can handle all of this at once? And if not, or if so, what kind of external support is needed to make this happen? That's both looking to your national governments as well as looking to international support. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the question to the group members.
Thank you for your questions. With the solutions that we had in mind, given that the governments are leading implementations of improving infrastructure and working on addressing digital divide, our capability that we were looking at is addressing the groups that I mentioned. It's either youth groups, church groups, because in the Pacific, these groups are highly respected, especially church groups, because of our religious traditions. And these groups are the lead in disaster response initiatives in the countries, and they are very active in community levels. So we aim to strengthen, empower that type of groups in the community to lead these type of training, to give them the training they need, so that they will be the voice of the government in the local level. If government wants something from the community level, it's them. But we need to give them the training that they require, and they will give them they will be the leader in advocating what is right, what is wrong, given the support from top level. I hope I'm answering your questions.
I will add on to that since this is my group. First of all, this is why we have forums like this. You know, that our voices can be heard, what exactly is going on in our community. Now we bring it here. What are the external supports that we need? They are the people who are watching, the donors, those are the supports that we need. Those are the external support that we need and also we talk about indigenizing education. We talk about our knowledge, traditional knowledge. It's something that our own community level needs to hear, because when we go with them and train them with English about climate change, English, they don't understand. and they don't interest. But unless if we want to indigenize it, we want to translate it and deliver in our own language, yes, the community can handle it. And with this approach, we have so much the traditional knowledge in the community, they can handle that because we have respect, we have the talanoa, we have all our cultural concepts that evolves around these issues where it can be solved within the communities. Yes, we can take it to community level and the community can handle it. But the thing is, the external support that we, the scholars here, we local scholars that we come to Japan, I would like to acknowledge Chaika because I'm a Chaika scholar. These are programs that utilizes us where we come here, we learn from the Japan, we learn from other countries, and then we go back to our community, we go back to our government and serve. That's the purpose, it's service. We go back and serve. So yeah, I hope that's something I would like to add on this.
Thank you very much for that powerful speech. There's one more question.
All right, thank you so much. I have noticed, obviously, that I went to Tuvalu last July, and you can see Starlink everywhere. So obviously, the access to internet is going to become, it's going to become much more accessible across the region at a really fast rate now, which means that everything's going to change quite quickly, which is great, obviously, and offers many wonderful opportunities. That's going to also give access to AI. I'm wondering, as an educator at a university, obviously we're seeing advantages and challenges with having AI so accessible. I'm wondering what the group's thoughts are on that in the context of what you've discussed.
Thank you for raising that. We did discuss that issue. With our existing frameworks in most of our countries, they intend to bring in connectivities to the remote areas where we're trying to focus on. But the good thing about their strategy, they are limiting the accessibility, the connectivity to education's infrastructure and facilities in remote areas. And right now, connection to domestic connections to remote areas is still an issue in our islands. It's yet to be accessible at the moment, which is that issue with AI is still had a long way to go. With SpaceX, at where I worked, I first experienced the introductions of SpaceX. But at the moment, since we have discussed it, the government holding on to SpaceX at the moment, not in Tonga actually, holding on to it, and yet, I think they are moving on to commercializing to gain revenue for the country. And I believe AI, yes, is a threat, but it's still in the control of the government. In the community level, if we are to approach this type of group, to strengthen this group, empower them, we don't need that much accessibility to internet. We just want to a literacy level so that we can share to our elders also. Certain levels where we don't need that, what developed countries are facing.
I will add on to Lupe. AI is general. When we use AI doesn't know about the local context, what's going on in the community. If we use AI, it doesn't solve our local problems, because AI will pull up something from maybe Japan, will pull up a case study from another country, because these are like well-developed economies. But AI cannot solve the local needs of our communities. So this is why we are trying to know from the experiences of the community, and we we here, the scholars, the young professionals are trying to come up with solutions by recognizing these gaps and trying to come up with innovative solutions to combat and bridge the gap. Yeah, so I think that's I want to add on to what Lope has said.
Thank you very much for your participation, and thank you for your presentation, and also to you listeners here with us in the conference room, and also to those watching online via YouTube. Thank you very much for taking your time to hear more about discussion today. Back to you, Marlene. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. I want to invite our final speaker, Ms. Chelsea Paspalau from Papua New Guinea, undergraduate student from the University of Natural Resources and Environment, PNG, and one of the essay competition winners, to discuss her essay. Thank you.
Hello, Geta. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chelsea Paspalau. I'm from Papua New Guinea, and I'm honored to share with you the story of my tribe, the Siavon people, and how our traditional knowledge is building climate resilience. So this presentation is not just about science or policy. It's about the deep wisdoms of our ancestors, our connection to the sea, and the lessons we carry forward. So this is the presentation for the outline for my presentation. When we talk about climate change, the conversation often revolves around scientific data and political decision, but there is another powerful source of knowledge, which is traditional ecological knowledge. For generations, my tribe has lived in harmony with the sea, guided by cultural practices that foster sustainability. Today, I want to show you how the Siavon tribe's relationship with the ocean offers invaluable solutions for climate resilience. Despite this wisdom, we faced growing challenges like climate change that threatens our coastal ecosystem, modernization and lack of documentation put our traditional practices at risk. Younger generations are becoming less engaged in cultural storytelling, dancing and practices, and indigenous voices, especially those of women, remain underrepresented in policy and advocacy spaces. For the Siavon tribe, the ocean isn't just a resource, it's our identity. We say nei laman na iken ikok isika palau. The ocean and us are one. The bond shapes sustainable practices like rotational fishing, seasonal bans, designated taboo areas. These methods reflect our respect for balance and nature's rhyme and ensure that we never take more than the ocean can give. Our marine management is rooted in respect and observation. The Siavon people use natural indicators to guide hunting and fishing. For example, the appearance of coconut crab, ngakum, and the blooming of the galip tree signals the right time to fish for red emperor. These practices help prevent overfishing and biodiversity loss, allowing marine ecosystem to recover from environmental shocks. This is an article. One of our most unique and sacred traditions is the Shark Calling Festival of the Western Coast people of New Ireland Province in Papua New Guinea. This ancient practice involves singing to the sharks and capturing them by hand, not out of conquest, but respect. Before heading out to the sea, the men undergo purity checks in initiation. As they sing the names of the ancestors, their voices call out the sharks, symbolizing the spiritual bond between humans and the ocean's creatures. In Lavangai, New Ireland Province, women play a vital role as guardians of coastal areas. I play a vital role in my clan. Through storytelling and communal knowledge sharing, women preserve and pass down ecological wisdom. Their voices shape how we teach the next generation about sustainability and balance. Conclusion, our traditional knowledge is just not a legacy. It's a blueprint, it's a living proof. By safeguarding these practices, we strengthen global climate resilience, but this requires respect and recognition of indigenous knowledge on global platforms. Let us remember that the solutions we seek are often rooted in the wisdom of those who have lived in harmony with the nature for centuries. Thank you. Island where liklik tasal walkabout blong yumi ibikpa, meaning our island may be small, but our journey is great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Charles Sang, for your excellent presentation and very knowledgeable as well. This brings to the end of the session's presentations and discussions. We will have a break now. Students have prepared some excellent videos to be played during the break, so please enjoy them. We will resume at 5:45 p.m. sharp. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Paspalau, and I am studying at the University of Natural Resources and Environment, and I'm from Papua New Guinea. My research topic was about traditional knowledge and conservation and how we practice that in our community. So I learned, or I've been part of the clan, and I've been practicing this knowledge whilst always in the village. I know how to navigate. Know how to navigate the wind. Can tell whether this is the season for this type of fish or this type of crab. So it's part of me. It's part of my identity. So just writing that, I think it kind of just putting it down in paper so that I can go back and read what I've been practicing all this time. Yes. I think because I am part of a clan that is probably there's no remaining members of the clan, so I decided to write a story that my clan before conservation knowledge was known to men. My clan or my tribes, they practiced it in their community. So with that knowledge that it's dying out, I wanted to expose my clan and the knowledge that we've been practicing over the thousands of years. Yes.
Malo lele. My name is William Imwana Makapuna. I'm coming from Tonga, and I'm doing my PhD in the University of the South Pacific and the University of Bergen, Norway. My interest for the opinion essay was should climate change be mainstreamed in the education curricula? And the reason why I chose this topic is because I think, and as an educator perspective, that curriculum is the key for the education system to make a change. So I think this to weave or mainstream climate change into curricula can make a change in Tonga and the rest of the Pacific Islands.
Hello everyone, my name is Marian Witchup. I'm from the Federated States of Micronesia, and I'm currently attending the University of the South Pacific. I chose this topic because I'm very passionate about the environment, and growing up listening to stories about how my grandmother grew up on the outer islands and how much that has changed compared to today really motivated me to write this essay. I believe this topic is important because a lot of things are happening back home that really affects communities in the rural areas, in the coastal areas. Recently, our country went through a severe drought, which ended up turning into a state of emergency. But being away from home and seeing all the impacts through the media really encouraged me to write this essay and to shed light on the situation back home. I learned that communities are adapting to situations much harder than what the media is portraying. Because in a way, the media is saying one thing, but then when you talk to like family members or friends who are actually living on those outer islands, the situation is quite dire. So that is one thing I learned. Another is that to be able to actually talk about climate change, you'd have to experience it yourself firsthand. You can't really go out advocating if you haven't really experienced going a couple days without water because of a drought, or opening your door to the ocean being knee deep. Yeah, that's what I learned. In the next 5 to 10 years, I hope that approaches are taken from a bottom-up approach, and that people work together from the state levels to the national levels and to the international level as well. Only through that channel can we address all the issues that we are now facing globally with climate change. I hope that the youth will get more involved with climate initiatives, and that leaders listen and actually take action, and hopefully the world can unite in addressing climate change.
I am currently studying in Naruto University of Education in Japan, and I am from Papua New Guinea. The challenges, there are many, but I'll talk on two of them. The first one is the use of ICT, especially in the rural part of PNG. According to the statistics, about 87% of the population in Papua New Guinea are still facing challenges in using or utilizing the ICT. And it's like most of them, the ICT policy is there and it is integrated into the education, but the challenges still remain. Most of the teachers are not aware of how to use it in the classroom settings. And there are also abuse of using it with the student as well when they're using it. They're not using it for education purposes. Also, they're also facing challenges in infrastructure. And also, another challenge is the integration of indigenous knowledge into the curriculum. That is how can the indigenous knowledge can be utilized to ease some of the issues they are facing. Some of the possible solutions would be like training them on the use of ICT, on the importance of ICT, and using some of the local groups like church group, not really using the what the government is doing. Their initiative there's government initiatives there, but I would like to focus on using the local communities, how they can alleviate these issues by training them on the ICT issues there. And on also on the integration of indigenous knowledge into the system, the government also have the policy on integrating that, but also look at the local perspective, how you can do as a person at the local, where you are, also training those some kind of skilled people, so they reach out to the community and give training on that. I think that would be some possible solutions that I think that will elevate or ease the problem and the issues that I've mentioned.
My name is Henry Yorita Taisia from Solomon Islands, and currently I am doing graduate studies at the which you make an Asia Pacific University APU at Beppu in Oita in the Kyushu here in Japan. So my program of study is international cooperation policy, majoring in the international public administration. So our group focuses on the social and the cultural and economical, socio-cultural economical issues. So we came up with our subtopics on unemployment and drug abuse. And there are many social issues in the Pacific Island countries, and especially for Solomon Islands. But these are the, these are the real issues for focus: unemployment and drug abuse. So.
Salafalava and warm Pacific greetings. My name is Kevin Naona Smith, and I am currently studying at the University of the South Pacific, and I am from Samoa. My topic was Traditional Ecological Knowledge, or TEK, and Coastal Protection. And the theme that was given by the GDN, or the Global Development Network, was building climate resilience in my community. My motivation for my topic essay was what was happening in my community, in my village, Manasseh. We were facing a lot of challenges, such as rising sea level rising and coastal erosions. I was thinking of a topic that would address, that we could use our traditional knowledge from our ancestors to prevent these issues.
Bula Vinaka, I'm Asana Dangaluoko, and I'm from Fiji. I'm a graduate student at Naruto University of Education. Okay, our topic is on social, cultural, and economic, and I'd like to talk on the sub-theme of unemployment and drug issues in Fiji. I think in Fiji the unemployment rate is increasing just because of, I can say, our education system is there was nothing there to create job opportunities for our students, and our students are just educated in order for them to get job, but how to create job was missing in the education system.
Hello everyone, my name is Sangeeta Devi Maharaj. I'm from the University of the South Pacific, Lautala campus. I'm a master's student doing my master's by thesis looking at small-scale tilapia farmers. Why did I choose this topic? My topic for this essay was climate resilience in Navua, and I've been in that community for about more than 10 years now. And I have seen that there is a lot of struggles that people are doing. So when I saw this email that was sent to our student emails, where we have to talk about community resilience in our community, climate resilience, in our community. So I thought of writing about my community, that is Navua, and what hardship and what they are doing in order to combat that hardship that they are facing.
Talofa, I am Sasi, and I'm from the beautiful country of Samoa, and I'm currently studying at the Ritsumeikin Asia Pacific University in Kyushu, Fiji. Two most prevalent issues in Samoa, respectively, is non-communicable diseases, firstly, and then secondly is mental health. I feel like one more practical solution that fits the context of a Pacific Island nation such as Samoa is look at power dynamics within the communities, because I feel like when project management put emphasis or light on issues that pertains to the communities and give them the power to design policies, it will definitely help resolve long-term strategies such as improving policy making as well as reviving acts that really resonates with the context of the community level.
Okay. Fulavinaka Salote, could you briefly introduce yourself?
Mulvinaka, my name is Salote and I'm from PG. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of South Pacific. Last year was more focused on international platforms. For this forum, we got to experience and learn from other candidates that are present at community level. And it's amazing how this richness and diversity of information and amazing work that's being done to tackle the impacting issues that we're addressing at the moment, which are in different four groups, education and research, climate disaster and resilience, social, cultural, and economic, and lastly, health, which are four major issues that are currently bombarding and impacting the Pacific. And it's really heartbreaking and overwhelming to learn about these issues from the different Pacific Island perspectives. I'm blessed to have crossed paths with all these participants in learning from them on their knowledge. As a Fijian myself, I see that there are some synergies that we can connect and we can learn from, or I can share from my country to this and recommend as a solution to these issues. And it's really important that the Sasakawa Peace Foundation has created a perfect platform for inspiring future leaders that will be future ministers and prime ministers for their country. And this is the platform for that. So thank you so much, Sasakawa Peace Foundation, and thank you so much to all the amazing participants that are present here.
Welcome back, everyone. Our last session is a summary outcome and a wrap-up session. I would like to invite Ms. Salote Nasolo to present the outcomes from the Pacific Delegation Talanoa sessions from Fiji, which took place after the Global Development Conference.
Bolivinaka, everyone. I will not take up a lot of your time. I'm sure you've had a very long day, especially to the delegates who's been preparing very hard the past 2-3 days to be here this afternoon.
My name is Charlotte Sebutina Salom Burongalevu, and I hail from the highlands of Mba, in the village of Bukuya. I have maternal links to Namuke Laulau. I had the honor and the privilege to attend and facilitate and moderate the Talano session after the Global Development Network conference that was held in Tano Plaza, Suva. The objectives of this Talano session consisted of 25 participants from Samoa, Tonga, Vanuatu, and the Republic of Marshall Islands, along with my fellow brothers and sisters from Fiji. There were observers and invited guests that were present during the Talano session, and the aim of the Pacific delegation post-Global Development Network Talano session was to engage youths from the Pacific region to discuss about global synergies, discussing the similarities and differences of the critical issues and challenges that they face from on their homeland, and the means to address these issues. And lastly, and most importantly, what we're here today, what we're practicing here today too, is the networking and bridging of long-term relations with students at university level in an international and regional level platform. Two themes were discussed. There were many, many themes. So I was given the task. I hope I represent my fellow colleagues well by dividing these many themes into the two main themes. Theme one is the need to reevaluate social norms and practice of good governance. First point that we really dug deep into was the breaking the barrier of silence and changing mindsets. I'm sure from around the table, the term mindset from indigenous and traditional and customary perspective weighs heavy. We can be very generous, we can be very ambitious with our plans, with our goals and objectives and aspirations, but when our mindset doesn't change, we will never achieve those goals and aspirations. So there's a great need to reevaluate the social norms, a great need to talk to our people and let them know that this needs to change. Change is coming, but at the same time, we embrace and enhance the sincerity and our upbringing. Number two, embracing differences for a stronger society. In Fiji, I'm going to talk mostly about Fiji, and the examples from the other students I'll be using is from Richino Malo, who's from Vanuatu. My sisters from the Polynesian side of the Pacific Ocean, they were very vocal. And this brother, Richie Namulo, he was so surprised because in the presence of men during a conversation, the women in his society never speak. And it was shocking to him. And he said when he goes home during that Christmas season, he's going to go and tell about these conversations that he had for the first time in his life, being a USP student and exposed to a platform that was sponsored by Sasakawa Peace Foundation. Embracing differences for a stronger society. Yes, we have our differences. Yes, we have our similarities. But at the end of the day, we need to work together. Thinking locally and acting globally. Today is an example of that. Thinking locally about indigenizing education, about the need to practice indigenous resilience within our communities, and acting globally by voicing the voices of our people and representing them at an international platform. Practicing good governance. When I talk about good governance, the main topic up there is accountability. As soon as the topic of 5.4 million Australian dollars come, oh yes, you say yes to that, because you'll be getting incentives, commission, and whatnot. Oh yes, I know one cousin that's going to come and can take up that role. Accountability, transparency. It is our responsibility. How much do we need this change to come? Be the change that you want to see. It doesn't start with the community level, no, it starts with you. So I look around the table and I see a very promising future. We're talking about resilience, we're talking about, and yet during this conversation, after the GDN conference, we came to that conclusive claim that the practice of good governance, especially when we're talking about money coming into the communities, that to be utilized for the communities. At times it does not go successful because as soon as the project leaves, the whole project leaves with them. The whole project comes to a stall. Next, theme number 2, interweaving the science and local community knowledge. And these have been heavily touched by the 4 groups that presented today. They talked about agriculture practices, food security in the Pacific and traditional local knowledge, disaster risk and preparedness, recording of knowledge and practices from the past generations. And I can tell you one example from Votua village in Ba, Nawangaro village, and Natutu village. For them to plant a cassava, at my age, no one knows how to plant a cassava because there the soil, when you plant cassava, the cassava can't grow. So they have to walk 9 kilometers inland, where our climate change group have explained the importance of soil health. They have to walk that much distance just to find land to plant cassava for their daily sustenance. And the need to decolonize research in the Pacific that has been heavily discussed by our education group. At the end of the day, to conclude, networking and finding synergies at regional level is critical. Given the astounding issues impacting our grassroots communities, utilizing students at university levels that are present, like the ones that are present here today, it creates a bridge that connects our islands, the sea, our Pacific Ocean. Our Moan is what connects us. The Sasakawa Peace Foundation has created one of the most perfect platforms where Pacific regional students can share and learn from each other. A platform utilized by regional students, used as a vessel to amplify the voices of our people at an international arena. And this is brilliant. Now remember, Moana Pacifica at grassroots levels using the bottom-up approach. Because the sea, the Pacific Ocean, is not what separates us, but it is what connects us. From the bottom of my heart, arigato gozaimasu and vinaka wakalevu.
Thank you, Salata-san. Now I'll present the draft outcomes of this 3rd Pacific Island Young Professionals Forum, and we'll officially close the forum as well. So this is basically the outline of the summary forum. I'm going to briefly talk about the session themes, priority areas, and the summary findings, and with the conclusion. So basically, as part of the preparation for this forum, we conducted a survey among the students to prioritize their respective country issues and challenges. Different countries highlighted many issues and challenges which are common or similar for every island nations. First, we divided them into significant themes as shown on the screen and what the students have presented today. The students were then divided into groups based on their priorities and their field of expertise. And later on, the groups then decided on what topics, based on the priority, they want to discuss as part of their presentation. Now, summary finding is basically what we have gathered and what we have here today is basically, I think a lot has been touched on integrating cultural and traditional mechanisms into various streams. Also, how to collect data, what data to collect, and how to use the data at the community level and support and enhance scientific and evidence-based publications as well. The locals have well-researched data and research, but implementation and publications are always challenging. As researchers, we are constantly challenged by evidence-based data from the Pacific. I think it is about time that we, as Pacific Islanders, decide and strengthen also the leadership roles or who are capable leaders are. So in most of the presentations, you have seen that women are coming up as being more resilient in these issues as well. So also I think we need to move out of the sector of just training for the government to identify who needs to be trained, but for the community to come up and tell that who wants to be trained. And by that, I mean the women, youth, persons with disability, or even men, and who are able to take leadership roles in normal times and in times of emergencies such as climate and disaster emergencies as well. Also, I think many issues are linked to the lack of knowledge. And I'd like to highlight here one of the ways that we can integrate that is through formal and informal education that needs to be reformed, and traditional knowledge, climate information, NCDs, such as healthy diets, non-communicable diseases on prevention level, and harmful substances need to be integrated into the education system. Because lack of this leads to diseases, poverty, unemployment, mental health issues, and the list goes on. That is currently what has been identified as the issues. While we ask for more technical upskilling, it is also challenging. It also challenges retaining skilled workers. Therefore, we need solutions that are more locally based, such as creating or bringing back local knowledge, enhancing local livelihoods, and sustaining their land, culture, and the people. Lastly, sustainability. In terms of sustainability, localization and the use of local knowledge, tradition, and culture will sustain the intervention and make it more solution-based, because locally led intervention enhances the ownership of initiatives and for them to take the lead roles as well. This is why local research and data should be incorporated into decision making. So the next is basically what we have captured through the panel discussions. Again, so one of the issues is like people need to know how to collect data and what data to collect, who are the vulnerable groups. And secondly is a more significant in-depth risk analysis at the community level is needed, as it was highlighted by one of the observers. But we also must note, and I will highlight it here, that there's a lot of data collected in the Pacific Island countries, such as in-depth situation analysis or risk analysis at vulnerable community level by local researchers. However, the issues are apparent that our decision makers fail to acknowledge the data from the locals and give more opportunities to external parties because it comes with funding. And another issue is they do not know how to use the data or utilize the data into decision makings. So that is the significant gaps there. More evidence-based data is needed to support the effectiveness of some of the strategies that the students have highlighted as well, such as using traditional knowledge in different streams of the issues. With that, I would like to conclude. Most issues and challenges are linked to the country's dying traditional and cultural systems, as highlighted by the participants and focused heavily on it. It is significant that bringing back the traditional and cultural mechanisms into policies, education, health systems are important. One of the solutions is teaching them at young. Therefore, learning about these issues and how to prevent them needs to be reflected at all levels, in formal and informal education, and also including awareness. We know the issue, but the biggest problem is changing the mindset and the attitude. As this group, we acknowledge that most of the issues and the challenges are based on the choices we make, as well as the attitude and the mindset we have. For students studying here, it is your privilege. You can learn many solutions from Japan and take them back home. So moving forward, we must discipline ourselves, whether it be in health, education, drugs, unemployment, climate issues, or other areas. Therefore, students will work and improve on more practical and tangible outcomes from this session and provide enhanced solution-based suggestions and recommendations to Sasakawa Peace Foundation. Thank you. That brings to the end of the presentation. Thank you all for your patience and engagement. On behalf of the students, I extend our heartfelt appreciation to Sasakawa Peace Foundation for providing this invaluable platform for emerging Pacific leaders to voice their challenges and share potential solutions. I also want to acknowledge the incredible dedication and hard work of the students who have made this possible in less than a week with just a day and a half in person. Your commitment is truly commendable. Thank you very much. A sincere thank you as well to everyone who joined us today, both in person and virtually, for your continued support and encouragement for the Pacific Island countries. Your presence and participation have truly made a difference. And on behalf of Sasakawa Peace Foundation, thank you once again for your support and engagement. With that, we officially conclude today's program.